Flying to the top of Mount Soapbox for another rant. And if you have a rant suggestion that I've yet to do, be sure and check the rant playlist first. By the way, there is an older rant playlist. I know it's ancient, but that's the reason why the current playlist is called Rant 2.0. But anyways, after you look through playlists and you don't see the rant idea that you have, or you're like thinking, GeauxBurns, I got a rant suggestion for you, well, feel free and send them my way via the comment section, Twitter, Facebook, or Discord. All the links to the social media for the GeauxBurns Nation in the description section. So this past Tuesday, we got some new vehicles added to Grand Theft Auto Online, including an old favorite, all the way back from Grand Theft Auto 3D days, the Sea Sparrow, the aquatic helicopter, which joins a very unique group of aircraft that have the ability to land on water, which includes the Sea Breeze, Tula, and Dodo. By the way, fun drinking game for all of you that drink. Anytime I confuse the Sea Sparrow with the Sea Breeze, when it's obvious I was talking about the other, feel free and take a drink. And for those of you that don't drink, well, you can drink water, I guess, or apple juice or soda, right? That's today's drinking game, because you know what's going to happen. It's me we're dealing with after all. So anyways, the Sea Sparrow, now available in Grand Theft Auto Online. And it does have issues, but at the same time, it does have some positives. We'll go over the positives as well. First off, the price tag for the Sea Sparrow helicopter, $1.8 million. Now, some people are going to be like, well, GeauxBurns, for an aircraft, that's actually quite reasonable, $1.8 million. But you have to add other numbers to that Sea Sparrow price tag. $1.8 million for the helicopter itself. It's not a Pegasus vehicle, which means you can't simply call it Pegasus and have it spawn at the nearest helipad. It's a hangar-specific aircraft. So in order to have the Sea Sparrow, you also need a hangar. Now, a lot of you probably already have a hangar already because they came out with the Smuggler's Run update. But if you've just been wanting to get your hands on the Sea Sparrow, you're also going to need a hangar. Now, I don't know why, for the life of me, that Rockstar didn't also have at least one hangar discounted this past Tuesday. That would have made a lot of sense, since obviously this is the only aircraft that we're getting with this update. It would have been a good time for Rockstar to be like, hey, by the way, if you don't have a hangar for the Sea Sparrow, here's a hangar at LSIA or Fort Zancudo that's currently discounted. You can purchase that hangar, save a little bit of money, like 25, 30% off, or even if they were really generous, 50% off. But nope, we got no discounts for hangars this past week. So you need a hangar to go with your $1.8 million Sea Sparrow. That can run you between $1.2 million, the cheapest hangar, which is at LSIA, or the most expensive hangar, which is at Fort Zancudo, for $3.2 million. The only reason to buy any hangar at Fort Zancudo is you get low-level access to the military base. So if you don't care about going to Fort Zancudo, then I'd recommend going with the cheapest hangar possible at LSIA. But that's not all. On top of the hangar, you also need the workshop in order to customize and upgrade your Sea Sparrow. That's going to cost you an additional $1.1 million. So for $1.8 million for the aircraft, for the Sea Sparrow, $1.2 million minimum for LSIA, along with the $1.1 million for the workshop inside the hangar, you're looking at least $4.1 million minimum you're going to have to spend for the Sea Sparrow before you even customize or upgrade it. Now, when it comes to customization, there really isn't that much to go on. I mean, you can change the primary color, and here's a second color for the dinghies. There isn't any liveries. Even like some simple liveries would be kind of cool on this helicopter, even though there's really not much you can go with, especially in the back part. Maybe some like stripes or something, or some flames. I don't know, but it would have been nice if there had been, some additional customization features for the Sea Sparrow along with liveries, but unfortunately there's not, besides the ability to change the primary, secondary colors along with some performance upgrades. But then we get to the weapons. So this thing does not come with a weapon. You have to buy it. Either a 50 cal machine gun, which is $185,000, or the missile launchers, which is $228 million. Personally, I would recommend you go with the missile launchers. It's a little bit more expensive, but unlike the Buzzard, it has no cooldown period for the missiles that come with the Sea Sparrow. So that's definitely a positive regarding the Sea Sparrow. But one thing that's obviously missing when it comes to customization and upgrades for the Sea Sparrow in the workshop is no countermeasures whatsoever for this aircraft. It's not the fastest aircraft in the game, and even if you fully upgrade the armor, it can be easily destroyed with one rocket, one explosive, and it's unfortunate that Rockstar did not allow us to have the option for countermeasures, unlike a lot of the other Smugglers Run aircraft. Since it goes in the hangar, since it can be used in the hangar workshop for various upgrades and customization, you think that we'd also have the ability to have some sort of countermeasure on the Sea Sparrow, but unfortunately, we don't. Now, another problem with the Sea Sparrow is the fact that it's kind of difficult to land sometimes in the water, unlike other aquatic aircraft. Now, if you're a decent pilot and you take it slow and steady, you can land this thing in the water, unless the waves are like really bouncing, then it becomes even more difficult. But you just can't make a quick land in the water with the Sea Sparrow, or you're going to have a bad time. So if you are frequently about landing an aircraft in the water, I would advise going with either the Sea Breeze, the Tula, or the Dodo, because those are aquatic aircraft as well. And in my opinion, each of them are much easier at landing in the water than the Sea Breeze, than the Sea Sparrow. But the one big difference is the Sea Sparrow is a helicopter, unlike those other three aircraft. But the Tula is also a VTOL, so you have to keep that in mind as well. Now we're moving on to the comparison between this Sea Sparrow and the Buzzard, because it's gonna happen. It's a reality. A lot of people out there are already making the comparison, so I'm gonna give you my comparison between these two aircraft, and in the end, tell you which one I think is better. Okay, so the price tags. We've already mentioned the fact that at the minimum, you're gonna need $4.1 million for the Sea Sparrow. The Buzzard, technically, all you really need is $1.7 million, because it's initially a Pegasus aircraft, which means you can simply just call it up through Pegasus, or if you're a CEO, VIP, or even an MC, you can call up a variation of the Buzzard and it'll spawn nearby. And even though it is a Pegasus aircraft, you technically can have your own customized aircraft version of the Buzzard. Just take your Pegasus Buzzard and just fly it into your hangar, and it has minimum customization. I think the only thing you can really do is just change the paint job to it, but that's about it. And you can like call it up in your inventory. But the problem is, like, when you do it that way from the aircraft hangar, helicopters and VTOLs like the Tula or the Hydra, they don't exactly spawn next to you. You would expect, a helicopter or a VTOL to be able to spawn next to you like the Buzzard does, whether you're a CEO, VIP, or MC, but it doesn't. You have to actually go to it, similar to how you do with the Pegasus vehicles, which is unfortunate, and that's a problem that the Sea Sparrow definitely has. Even though you have to have it in a hangar and you call it up as your own personal vehicle, because that's what it becomes, a personal vehicle, yeah, it doesn't spawn next to you. And I really wish Rockstar would have fixed that issue and added the Sea Sparrow to the ability for you could spawn it similar to the Buzzard as a CEO or a VIP or even an MC. Now going to the weapons. The Buzzard, for the $1.7 million price tag, automatically comes with the 50 caliber machine gun as well as the missile launcher. Now the big difference is, unlike the Sea Sparrow, which has no cooldown for its missile launcher, the Buzzard does have 2 missile cooldowns. So you fire 2 missiles, there's a cooldown, then you can fire 2 more missiles. So that gives the Sea Sparrow an advantage over the Buzzard when it comes to the missile launcher capabilities of the 2 different aircraft. However, once again, no weapons come with the Sea Sparrow. You have to buy one or the other. Once again, $185,000 for the 50 caliber machine gun, or $228,000 for the missile launcher. Capacity-wise, the Buzzard has the advantage. You can seat up to 4 people in the Buzzard, whereas the Sea Sparrow can only hold 2 people, which is quite interesting because a lot of us assumed that, like the Dodo, where you could have 2 people like on each side of the pontoon on the outside, that we would be able to do the same thing with a Sea Sparrow. Unfortunately, that is not the case. You can only have up to 2 people in the Sea Sparrow, whereas it really should allow you to have 4 max, you know, 1 on each side, with the ability to use their machine guns on targets. That would have made it a lot more effective as an aircraft if you could fly around with 4 people. So the Buzzard definitely has that advantage when it comes to capacity. Now, overall, the performance seems to be pretty much the same. I tested it. I know others have tested it as well. So the performance for the Buzzard is just about on par with that of the Sea Sparrow. So either or, you're going to get about the same result. Now, the other advantage that the Sea Sparrow obviously has over the Buzzard is the fact that it can land on the water, if you're very careful when it comes to landing on the water. Buzzard, obviously not meant to land on the water. You try to do it with the Buzzard, you're going to sink. But at the end of the day, when it comes to which helicopter is better, that's entirely up to you based on what you prefer. But in my opinion, as someone that kind of likes helicopters in Grand Theft Auto Online, I would rather have the Buzzard. It just has more advantages over the Sea Sparrow, despite the fact it cannot land on water and the limit to the cooldown when it comes to launching 2 missiles at a time. That's the only advantage that the Sea Sparrow has. The Buzzard is cheaper. It can seat up to 4 people. It automatically comes with a machine gun as well as a missile launcher. And if you have a CEO or you're a VIP or you have an MC, you can spawn a variation of the Buzzard for you and your crew to use, and it spawns nearby, unlike when you use the Sea Sparrow as a personal vehicle. So, in conclusion, this is not a bad helicopter. It performs weather well. It's cool to have a unique type of vehicle that is aquatic, similar to the Seabreeze, Tula, as well as Dodo. But the question you have to ask yourself is, how often are you going to be landing in the water anyways to pick up somebody? Because that's really the primary purpose of the Sea Sparrow, is to be able to pick up a friend that happens to be trapped in the water for whatever rhyme or reason. Because there's really not much that goes on in the water anyways, besides the yachts, a few boat races, along with some missions that involve the water. But most of the time, we're obviously on the land as opposed to in the water when it comes to Grand Theft Auto Online. And it seems very obvious that Rockstar is using nostalgia to really promote the Sea Sparrow, because a lot of people think of the Sea Sparrow back from, you know, the Grand Theft Auto 3D days. That gets the member berries going and like, oh, I remember the Sea Sparrow. And knee-jerk reaction, people buy it and they don't realize that maybe they shouldn't have bought it to begin with, because it's going to cost at least $4.1 million. Even if you already have the hangar and the workshop, you still have to add that into the final cost. While the Sea Sparrow is the only aquatic helicopter in Grand Theft Auto Online, perhaps it would have been better off if it would have just remained in Vice City.